everyone. If you're joining in, thank you for stopping by on your endless scroll, deciding to come to watch me work and slowly slip into madness. I mean, you could be watching ladies on the internet, but you choose to be here. Thank you. I am working on a sweatshirt order and just talking to myself, just a random guy on the internet in his garage, talking to people on the internet about whatever pops in my head. And I'm sorry if the audio is bad. My microphone died, so just gonna have to bear with it. Anyways, as I was saying before, thank you for stopping by. You guys could be looking at ladies on the internet, but you decided to watch this random Asian guy in his garage working on sweatshirt orders and other stuff he's got going on. Oh my god, I'm talking to myself in the third person now. I gotta stop that. That's insane. But yeah, it got me thinking. I was scrolling through the internet and I noticed like more and more ladies are on there, and it seems like they're wearing less and less and less. And I'm like thinking to myself, the clothing industry right now must be loving this, because like they're selling everything. I've talked about this before, but they're selling everything for the exact same price. Like crop tops and shorts or whatever are the same price as pants and regular t-shirts, but they use less material, so they're actually making way more money, and that's the trend now. And I feel like down the road, if the clothing industry has their way, the trend will just be like, hello, just be like just a bandeau. Yeah, that's what they're called. Like bandeaus. I'm telling you, you heard it here first. In like 10 years from now or less, you know how like girls are always trying to one up each other? Crop tops are going away. It's gonna be bandeaus. Hi, right? Like just right. And then they're gonna cost the same as like what crop tops cost now. And the clothing industry is just gonna make so much money now. It's like people just don't understand the amount of like manipulation that's going on in the world right now, and with all these industries, not just clothing. Yes, I am just working. If you guys want to tune in. Thank you for stopping by. See what's going on in the news. I mean, I know what I saw in the news today that I thought was super funny. I saw that one of Diddy, Puff Daddy, whatever his name is now, Diddy, one of his top lawyers recused himself, and I thought it was super funny. And I thought it was super funny that this lawyer was a defense attorney for Osama bin Laden, and like it doesn't look good that if your lawyer defended Osama bin Laden steps down from your case, it's not a good look. Like, we don't know why he stepped down, but he stepped down. That's his, like, oh, that's a big hit. Like, imagine you're like Puff Daddy and you're like, you got all this money and you want to get the best team, and you're like looking through the resumes, of these lawyers, and you're like, oh, this guy here, this is the guy I want. He's got, I think it said like he's got like 45 years of experience in high profile cases, and he was on the Osama team, so you know that he'll do anything for a check, right? But he steps down from your case, as in, usually when the lawyers do that, they feel like the case is not winnable, right? Like, you're not a winnable case, so the lawyer wants to step down because he doesn't want to tarnish his reputation with like a loss like that. So he'll step down. Or, and I've seen this before, where lawyers step down because their client's hard to deal with. I mean, that's probably most likely the case. I feel like Diddy was a hard client to work with. And I've seen this before. Keep in mind, I'm just a random guy on the internet, but I've seen things, okay? And I've seen it before where, lawyers are giving you advice or giving someone advice, and the guy will do completely opposite things. Because especially with these high-profile cases, if you guys want to... What do I think about the Diddy thing? I think he's in a bad situation here. I don't know. We've seen bright things. If you guys want to see what I'm working on, this is the design. It'll look better. So it'll look better when it's actually on there. But yeah, as I was talking before, I've seen it before where like the lawyer gives you advice. Let's say like you're in like a, I don't know, like a domestic violence case or whatever, and the lawyer be like, hey, don't contact the other person that's involved. But you gotta think, especially people like Diddy or successful big time people like that, they think that they know best. I'm pretty sure Diddy thinks that he knows what's best, right? I want to make sure I'm making the right order. And so he's like, oh, I'm gonna start doing everything myself because, I know what's best. And then, what did I put? Oh, here it is. All right. Check the size, make sure it matches up. Large. Okay. And he'll just start doing his own thing. So you could be like, oh, don't contact them, leave it alone. And Diddy be like, no, I'm going to contact them. You know what? I'm going to get them to change their mind. And he's already tried to do that, right? I think I saw somewhere that he's been using other prisoners' phones or whatnot to contact families of people involved and like trying to, in a way, intimidate them. And yeah, like so I've actually witnessed that firsthand before, where someone's like, I know better, and they're gonna do something, and they basically gotta mess up the whole case. And so I'm pretty sure that's why the lawyer decided to leave. Like I'm pretty sure Diddy was just a hard client to deal with. One. Other one, and I don't know, it doesn't look good when your lawyer who defended Osama bin Laden feels like you're not the client for him. Okay, let's do the other one. Do a magic trick. You know what? When I was younger, I was into magic a lot. What I like about magic is like the thought process in trying to trick people. It's really interesting. All right. So this is couples hoodies. This first one says. All right, let's do the other one first. It makes more sense. All right. Boom. Right. From our first kiss to our last breath. And that's it. That's an order. This is done. But back to magic. Like, I saw this one class in school, and it was called the art of manipulation with magic, and I just thought that it was a very interesting idea. Like, it's a class that your whole goal is to trick people using magic. Let's see, is that screen printing? Oh, this is no, this is not screen printing. These are transfers. Yeah, I don't like doing the silk printing or screen printing because I feel like it's so messy. I like to me this is easier. That's why I do it like this. Especially if I'm in my garage, you know? You don't want all that mess around. Fun fact for you guys, I don't know if you guys know, most like people that make shirts and whatnot, they do it out of their garage. So that's a fun fact. Let's see, what was I talking about? Oh, I was talking about magic. You guys thought me think about magic. Yeah. So yeah, that's the best part I like about magic is the amount of trickery that goes into it. Like, you have to really, like, imagine David Blaine, right? He's got to sit there all day and think about how do I convince people that I am eating frogs. Like, have you seen the David Blaine's trick where he's like shooting frogs out of his mouth? And like, when he's performing it, it seems super cool, but if you actually just if when you hear him explain it, it's actually very simple. All he's doing is the day before that he knows, or whenever he knows that he's gonna be doing the fish trick or the frog trick, because he's got that trick where he's doing whatever and then he's like just like throwing up frogs everywhere. The day before, he starts drinking a bunch of water, right? He fills his stomach with water, and then he just starts swallowing frogs or fish. That's literally the trick. So he fills his stomach with water, and then he starts any kind of aquatic life just goes in there, and he just it back out whenever. But it just got me thinking, like, David Blaine, and in the morning you just drink like a whole tank worth of water and just walk around because you never know when like you need to throw up frogs. What am I talking about? Some guy mentioned about doing magic, and it got me thinking about magic. And yeah, I just think it's very interesting. And like, how how much foresight do you need in your life where you're just like doing random things just because you don't know when you need to do that trick? Like, I think he's got that other one where he sticks the ice pick through his hand, and I feel like the trick is he pierced his hand at some point, and so he's got a certain spot, I think, that he can just push that ice pick through. Like, any of those tricks, I'm pretty sure you really look at it. There's some kind of weird thing that he did that you don't expect a normal person to do, but that's what he did. Am I subscribed? I hope you're subscribed. Who knows? I'm just a guy on the internet in my garage working and talking to you guys. All right, so next I am making, these are twins matching onesies. So after I make it, I'll show you guys. Before you press it, always double check. That's life lessons, right? Always double check. sure the order's correct, make sure the size is correct. Do I make close to full time? Let's see here. I want to say yes and no. Like, I got a lot of different like projects going on, and sometimes it's like a full time thing where you get big orders and it takes me weeks or days to do, and then sometimes it just takes me a few hours. But I kind of like allocate the time for it because when I'm not doing this, you kind of have to make new designs. So in a way, it is a full time thing. What was I talking about? What else did I see in the news today? Oh, the big thing that everyone, of course, is talking about is like the DOGE stuff, and it's like, I don't know how you guys feel about it, but it's like, it's one of those things that I feel like needs to happen at the same time. Like, the problem I feel like, me personally, is like the way that it's been done. All right, but so these are matching twins onesies. So like it's a check mark basically to see which twin is which. So if this one's Sophie, the other one could be Lucy. Lucy, Sophie. Boom. Order done. Yeah, I think the issue is like the way it's being done. It's like it Elon's definitely, let's see, I'm a government employee, but pretty much okay, about that. Okay, you're saying you're a government employee and you're saying you can't lose your job, but okay, but how real is that? Because on the news, it makes it seem like a lot of people thought that they were safe and they just like got axed, you know? Like I think that, see, that's the problem where I feel like it's kind of like let's just do it first and figure it out later approach. You know, like kind of like by the hip. And as a, just like a regular person, I feel like it's so sloppy. But I do agree it needs to be done because if you really think about it, usually when the government gets into trouble before in the past, they would just print more money. Like, who else? Unless they downsize the army, that's, I don't know. Who knows? I, I don't think that's gonna happen because who knows what's gonna go down later on. But like, okay, as I was saying before, we're like in the past, you know, when the government gets into trouble, they just continuously print more money, and at a certain point, like you just can't print more money, and so it feels like this is something that needed to be done. Just the way that they're doing is not very smart. Like I saw this thing today that they were talking about how farmers are feeling it now, and it's like a, in a way, like a trickle down effect that you don't think about. Where's, oh, here it is. Where since they're cutting off a lot of like food aid and stuff, like, you know, like just government assistant food programs, it's affecting farmers because farmers grow the food for these programs, so that means they're going to get less orders, and now they're feeling stressed that maybe the government is not going to subsidize them as much as they did before. And so that's like one of those weird trickle down effects that not a lot of people thought of. You're just thinking like, oh, they're cutting, you know, like these aid programs, but it's affecting all kinds of random things that no one's thinking about. Elon isn't human. That's a. I mean, he did say he thinks we're all living in a simulation, so maybe he thinks none of this is real. Like, how crazy is it to wake up and be Elon? Like, my feeling about Elon is that he is a constant, he's like the best example of failing upwards, where you're like not doing that great of a job, and you just keep on going up. Um, and maybe that's why he feels like this is a simulation where it's a video game where he can't lose. Oh yeah, I've talked about this before about the whole Mars thing, and I was saying that everyone says that he's the richest guy in the world, right? At what is he at now? Like 500 something billion, right? But there are Saudi princes, Saudi princes. Oh my god, it made it sound like I said princesses. Anyways, Saudi princes that control whole countries, and they're technically trillionaires. So like I saw this meme where it was like when Elon meets trillionaires and it's him like shaking hands with these Saudi guys, and they're on a completely different level because they have trillions of dollars where he's just he's just a billionaire, you know, like, and I feel like there's this thing with everyone, not just billionaires. We're part of that too, where you're trying to compare yourself with other people. I've said this before. Most people are trying to work to become millionaires. When you're a millionaire, you're trying to compete with like people that have 5 million. With people that have 5 million, they're trying to compete with people that have, I don't know, 10 million. 10 millionaires are trying to compete with people that have 40 million, right? 40 millionaires trying to compete with low billionaires. Billionaires competing with other billionaires. Like I saw this thing where this guy, he's got 3 billion, right? And when he hangs out with his other billionaire friends, he feels poor, right? He's got $3 billion, and he hangs out with other billionaires. He feels poor, and they're like, "Oh, you poor smuck! You can't even affect an election." 3 billion. What is that gonna get you? A local government? Oh, you know. All right. So this is the other one. This is another couple like onesies, twins. So it's same thing. The check marks. Yeah, and then the whole like, as the other guy was saying, like they're just trying to show off with each other. That's all trap. Speaking of showing off, that's got me thinking about this. I want to say they're like an acquaintance of mine where she's pretty rich, um, and she's got like very like pretty well, right? And before, she's one of those people that shows off a lot, like wears all her jewelry, nice clothes, whatever, right? And then one day she was going to work, like going to her office. I'm sorry, when you're at that level, you don't work. I have an office. I'm in my office. I'm going to the office. That's what she was, they would say. And I'm trying to remember this story because I heard this a while back, and I don't hang out with them anymore. So she's going to the office. She pulls up to the office, gets out of the car. As she's getting out, someone grabs her and throws her into a van, right? And drives off with her. And then she ends up somewhere blindfolded, tied to a chair. And now they're asking her to call her bank or something like that. Basically, they're trying to ransom her to get money, right? And to give more context again, like she's got all her jewelry on. She's one of those people like got all her jewelry, nice designer clothes. Like you can tell that she's not a poor smuck like the rest of us. Right? And then so she calls somebody to get some money. And I'm sorry if I'm butchering this because it's been so long. I'm forgetting how did she get away. But anyway, she gets away, and it turns out that person that kidnapped her was her employee, right? Because her employee knows how much like that they're making and stuff, and she knows that they have the money. And then from that point on, if you ever see her on the street, you would not know that she's got like at least 100 mil in the bank. You will not know, because from that point on, she doesn't show it anymore. She's not flashy. But I don't know how I got into that topic. I think we were talking about billionaires and how they're trying to one up each other. But yeah, sometimes you just gotta learn one of those lessons like that. Oh, thank you for the sub. Yeah, I just, at the end of the day, you know what I hate is that when you watch the news, one side is saying something and the other side is saying the other thing. When, like, you just gotta use some common sense, right? We were talking about the DOGE thing, right? It's something that needs to get done. It's just the way it's getting done is not very good. And why can't we just be honest? Like, I hate all the media spin on everything. When they were talking about like the U.S. aid stuff, and they were saying that it's all like, oh, you're cutting funding for all these humanitarian things. Yes, but at the same time, they were doing some shady stuff. Like, why can't it be both? Like, especially in the government, Okay. Oh, okay. Well, you got me thinking about that, because I saw something about those stimmy checks, right? So, as it stands right now, I think the headlines are all saying that they want to get to 500,000. Oh no, I'm sorry, $5,000 stimmy checks, right? Up to. But I think if you really look at it, they're so far off from getting to $5,000, because as of right now, I think they've cut supposedly 50 billion or something like that, right? Now, if you take that 50 billion, if it is 50 billion, and you divide it by contributing taxpayers, not everyone in America. That's insane. Like, some people are saying that. No, you gotta be more realistic, right? Because how many people there in America counts like children and all kinds of people that shouldn't qualify. You know what I'm talking about. It comes out, if it's right now at 50 billion, it comes out to be like $200 for each tax-paying American. Right? They need to cut it way more to get up to that $5,000 mark. And so it's really hard. I think the other issue not a lot of people talk about is, like, I think some people talk about it, is that some of the cuts were supposedly stuff that's already been paid, or they didn't use all the money. So, like, let's say I give you an allowance, like a $20 allowance, and you only use $10, but then I'm cutting off. I'm no longer gonna give you the $20. They're counting the $20 instead of, like, let's say I spent $10. So technically you only saved $10 because that's all you're getting back. No, this one is here. But hey, I would love to get a $5,000 check. That would be so cool. Yeah, but no, they cannot just be printing money. That's true. But I know that's what it's gonna happen because people are so angry right now with the whole DOGE thing that that what's gonna get everyone back on their side? $5,000. Like, you remember in like the beginning of the, it's not the beginning, but at some point during the pandemic, they handed out those stimmy checks. How many people got another car or whatever with that money? And they're all like, "Thank you, Mr. Trump." So that's definitely the thing right now. Especially if you watch some of the news coverage right now, a lot of people are very angry. A stimmy check will definitely squash a lot of that. Okay, rich people sitting on their money, not good for the economy. Yeah, that's got me thinking about like that classic, kind of like the classic idea of like you get rich people more money and then they'll spend money and they'll hire employees or whatever. And we're all gonna feel the benefits of that because it's trickle down economics, everybody. Trickle down economics. But most of the time, what I've seen so far is that they get the money and then they come up with an idea how to get more money or how to save money. So what's gonna happen is they're gonna get whatever money and they're just gonna get more AI or robots or whatever. Like, do you remember the story back when this is when I think during Trump's first term, there was those coal mines that were going out, and then and Trump was like, "Oh, we gotta save the coal mines." So he made these big like he gave them all kinds of subsidies and stuff, and the coal mining bosses, whatever, ended up instead of rehiring employees, they just got more robots, which, okay, to be honest, if you were a coal mining baron, overlord, or whatever, that's what you would do. Like, come on, be realistic here. Like, I think a lot of people just don't put themselves into the other person's shoes. Like, oh, how can you do that? If you were that person, you're definitely doing that. Like, do you want to send Billy into the coal mines to dig for like 12 hours, whatever, or you want to send, C3PO into the coal mines and he can get all kinds of coal without complaining? Like, that's what you would do if you were in that position. So yeah, that's what they did, and I'm pretty sure that's what's going to happen now. I saw these new AI forklifts. Have you guys seen with that? Where like they Amazon already has them, but these are forklifts, and they go and you just basically beep, 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 I need this pallet from section A5, and it just goes, picks it up, brings it. It's slow. I think that's what all the forklift people are saying. Like, oh, it's too slow. I could drive way faster. Yeah. That's right. You can get all that coal without bitching. Oh, so these are couples aprons now. I don't know. This person chose black. I personally would not get black. So this is, cutie pie. And this one is a stud muffin. Yeah, as I was saying, I personally would not get black. This person chose black. Black is just so hard to see. White is the way to go, guys. Get white. But yeah, the AI forklifts, right? Because you would imagine, I remember when AI first came out, it was taking up high end jobs, which was very interesting if you think about it. It was taking out lawyers, doctors, artists, which is pretty funny. Like, all these high end jobs get taken over by AI, but like lower end jobs, plumbers, electricians, warehouse workers, like real manual jobs were not being affected by AI until I saw these AI forklifts. And everyone's complaining that, oh, it's too slow. Billy can definitely get those pallets faster than the robot, but I'm pretty sure when Amazon first rolled out their warehouse robots, if you haven't visited a warehouse, Amazon warehouse, I recommend you do that. They have tours that they organize that I think they go on every day or every weekend, whatever. But it's actually very interesting to go in there and see how they do their packages, like how it gets sorted and how it gets shot through. But yeah, Amazon has these robots. But yeah, the forklifts, right? And it's getting to I'm just sure like you don't trust a regular guy with a forklift, let alone a robot. Okay, here's the thing about that. I was thinking about this, right? The robot forklift doesn't get drunk on the job, right? So would you trust a like some guy that's on like speed or maybe drink a little, or the cold robot that's got like cameras and sensors all around? Right? You know what I'm talking about? Or have you seen those they're like Stanley cups, but like underneath them or on it's like a double layered Stanley cup. One has your drink, and then there's a secret compartment where you can put like a full bottle of whiskey in there. You know? And so like imagine you're at work, right? And you got like one of these, and like it's not like this, but like let's say this cap is just regular, but if you unscrew this other one, there's a full bottle of whiskey in there, and you're just like, and then you're working, and everyone thinks you're just drinking water, but no, you're on Jack Daniels, and you're driving a forklift. Would you trust that guy, or a forklift with robots? Well, I mean, a forklift with cameras and sensors everywhere. Oh, I'm gonna make sure this is straight. I hate it when it's crooked. Wait, what's it? Yes, hey, they're hard workers. That's true. Um, it's got me now. You got me thinking about one of my first jobs I had was cold calling for a finance company, and we were selling like I want to say like business loans and doing all kinds of business finance stuff. And this is back in the day, like get to work I mean, we would get there at 6, and when you get there at 6, you start calling people from the East Coast, and you kind of work your way through, down. And if you were like hardcore, at the end of the day, I'm in California. At the end of the day, you would start calling people from Hawaii because they're 3 hours back. So basically, you want to call people from New York and just work your way down and just keep on calling people. We'll do like 400 calls a day. And I remember talking to people in Hawaii, like business owners in Hawaii. And they said that their biggest problem is finding workers that are not high. Because I guess in Hawaii, the big problem is everyone is high all the time. And so one of the guys said he's in construction. He said during their lunch break, they'll go to their car, get high, and never come back. So you think that guy doesn't want some kind of, I don't know, AI computered like cement layer? Let's see. Okay. Alright, I can't read all of this, but okay. So engage in commerce. Okay. I'm assuming you're talking about businesses and state taxes and whatnot. I wish I could scroll up. I can't. I'm losing. Federal taxes. Did you file taxes yet? What I'm thinking about taxes right now, I'm thinking about the Super Bowl commercials, and I thought it was super hilarious. I don't know if you guys watched the Super Bowl, but there were 50,000 tax commercials on the Super Bowl. Right, every other commercial was some kind of tax. Um, and the one that stuck out to me was when Gronk was doing one for TurboTax. And I'm like, can you get? I know it's Super Bowl, and Gronk is very like, he's famous Super Bowl player. You need a high profile guy to do your commercial, especially if you're doing it during the Super Bowl. But like Gronk and taxes do not go together. And so the whole time I'm like watching the TurboTax Gronk commercial, I'm like, Gronk? You got Gronk? He's the guy that was trying to tell people not to eat Tide Pods. And you're getting, like, I don't trust Gronk with my taxes. I don't know. Like, of all the choices, they got Gronk. Why didn't they get, like, a quarterback? Quarterbacks are known to be, like, somewhat, they got hit less, so they have more brain cells. I don't know. Pay your taxes. We need all the money. Okay, one thing that this whole, I guess to bring it back to the DOGE thing, is that one thing I do realize after what's going on is, from what I can see, Congress is completely useless. Because like when you're in school, you were taught like the three branches, they're supposed to check and balance each other and whatnot. This whole thing shows to me that Congress is completely useless. It's like where our tax dollars go to die. You know what I'm talking about? Where like, wait, I'm just saying more things should be done at state level, mail care. Okay, I do agree with you on that. They should separate what goes out to federal and what goes to state, because the other thing I hate is like when you pay your taxes and you're expecting things to get done that actually affect your life. Like, I'm sorry if I'm like feeling my nose a lot. The weather's changing here and I got like allergies. But like, you know what I'm talking about, where you expect things to get done that actually affect your life, but nothing ever gets done that affects your life. It's always like, oh, money's going out to Ukraine or wherever. Like, how about we do stuff that's here? If you got money to burn, because like we were talking about before, they just print money. But if you're just gonna print money, why can't we print some money here? Like, is it so hard to fix the homeless problem or like whatever? It doesn't seem that hard. I saw this other thing. It was I'm not sure what state they're in, but it's basically a bunch of guys. They go around and they fix potholes at the middle of the night, and they're like, oh, the cement mix for the potholes only cost them like $10 or something, and at the middle of the night they just drive around and they fix potholes for free. And I was thinking, like, I'm driving around, I see all kinds of potholes that never get fixed, and I'm like, where's my money going? That some guy is taking it on himself, spending his own money, and he's got like 10 people now. They're all doing it. They're just going around fixing potholes. And I'm like, what do we, like, where does our money go? But I guess this goes back to what we were talking about before. We're like, some of the DOGE stuff makes sense. You gotta take a look at it because, like, you can't just keep printing money. Right? Like, you're driving around and you're like, like, in California, we have the highest tax rate. Is it too much to ask that we can drive around without some potholes? Like, where does the money go? If you go to, this is an interesting thing I was thinking about the other day. When you actually travel a lot and you go outside of America, all the newer cities, like all the new cities, they're so nice. And it's because they're like new construction. Everything is new construction to them. But you got stuff like in California that's been here since like the 50s. And it's not gonna get fixed unless it gets torn down. So I mean, we just had the fire here, so I'm pretty sure that's gonna make them fix all those issues. Like I remember having some people come over, and they're asking why are there power lines on top? Like, you know, like when you drive around California, there's power lines and phone lines everywhere. Like, who still uses those old phone lines? Nobody does. But no one wants to spend the money to fix it. And you know, the fires. How many fires were caused because of the power lines being on top instead of underground? And I'm pretty sure some executive came up with, because I saw this before, where it says that it's actually cheaper for them to have the lawyers fight the cases and rebuild whatever than to actually fix, like, let's just say the power lines. It's gonna cost them like multiple billions, and it's a big project for them to take all the power lines and bring them on the ground. Or you could just leave it and maybe a section will burn or something will happen. You get some insurance money or whatever, then you fix it. And then so it's section by section by section, eventually all the power lines are going to be under. But they're not going to do anything until something happens. Let's see. Okay, I agree with you about the DOGE thing, and this, in a way, this ties back to what I was saying about Congress, where multiple occasions they have chances to fix stuff like this, but they never do it. And I think the big argument right now is like, oh, Elon's not elected, he's not allowed to do this. But if you did elect someone to do this, they went through the proper channels, they would not do it. Like, how many times have you seen a campaigning official, once they get into the system, their whole operation changes? Like, it's almost all of them, right? They campaign on one thing. Once they get in there, their whole is because the system like grinds them down. In a way, you could see that happen with Trump, where if you watch him on the campaign trail, he says whatever, but once he gets in there, he actually doesn't do a lot of stuff he says. Like for example, the war. Right? He wants, on the campaign trail, he's like, I'm gonna end it on day one. Once he gets in, he's like, oh, maybe not, and he'll let it drag on. And it takes something to happen for any of these changes to get done. Let's see. 3 years ago, I had a dream that Trump and Elon were running things together, and I was fighting drones in the US digital now look. Oh, you know one thing that was big on the news that kind of just were those drones that were going all over different cities on the East Coast. That's it was in a dream. Oh my gosh, that's funny. Doesn't that make you feel like you're in the Matrix or something? Where like how many times you drive through and you're like, I'm having a deja vu moment. Like I've felt this before. That's what this all feels like. But yeah, like we'll see where this whole DOGE thing goes. I don't know. I'll be back later. I gotta pack up these orders. But it was great talking to you. We live inside Google. Oh. Okay, that's got me thinking real quick. Like, if you were to go back in time, and you were able to invent something, what would you invent? Like, and I think okay, within your ability, what am I doing? What am I doing now? I'm making shirts. Like I got an order for this company. They're these local shirts. I made like 100 of them already, so I gotta pack them up, and it's moving around and whatnot. So I don't want you guys to get go everywhere. It's like it's too hard. Like within your ability, what would you invent? You would invent the globe? Wait, like just like the map, the globe? Or you're talking about you just you know what I'm talking about? Like you're saying if you were to go back like all the way to like sailor time, you're gonna make the globe. That's interesting. Okay, but imagine you're like the globe manufacturer, right? And you make globes, and then one day Trump comes in and he's like, "I want to name it the Gulf of America," and you made all these globes, and then you gotta recall all your globes because he renames it to Gulf of America on a whim, and you just lost millions or thousands of dollars because all your globes are now trash because they say Gulf of Mexico on there, and like I was talking about that the other day where, you know, like in teachers' classrooms they have maps of the world, and I'm pretty sure they bought these like years ago. Now you gotta take them all down and buy new. How much money did that cost the teachers? All right. See you guys later. I gotta go. But I might be back later. But thank you for listening. You guys, as I said before, you guys could have been scrolling, seeing babes in bikinis, but you chose to stay with me. So thank you. My heart goes out to you.